success is relative to the people to the Congolese. It's relative to the people that live there. So
exactly.
Don't you think he may not see fancy houses and cars and central AC and clean running water as success, but whatever he sees in the Congo as success versus somebody who also is in the Congo as failure, they could still believe that whatever they're thinking is going to give them that successful mindset.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's bullshit. Because you can have a boy in the Congo, it's 6 years old, 8 years old, he's given an AK-47, you know, and now he's a child soldier with all the other ones, and he makes it to 10. But he made it to 10, which is a success because sometimes they die at 8.
Right.
But I mean, that's your law of attraction. That the boy made it to 10 with the AK-47.
But Lead, you're comparing it to a completely different perspective. You can't compare two different perspectives.
No, I'm asking you. I put it in the Congo. I'm saying,
yes,
he made it. He made it to 10 when he should have died at 8. That's success.
Lead, when I was because I've been to Africa. I did 2 tours in Somalia. I know what it's like to. I had my mother. I had my mother sending me. My mother used to send me white socks. I told her to go to Target. This is in 1993. I told Mom,
this is American privilege. You guys are it's so narrow. That's what I'm saying.
It wasn't until I went to Africa that I stopped throwing food away at dinner. I think I mentioned that on this podcast before. I used to eat at a restaurant and then be like, I don't want no more of it until I deployed and saw what they considered success over in Somalia. And it wasn't until I went to Mombasa, Kenya, that I realized how precious white tube socks were. How they looked at white tube socks. But to them, Lee, having the white tube socks was success. They couldn't look beyond that. Now, just because I could, because I'm from California, I'm not going to minimize what they consider great. But they have levels. There's levels over there. So there's levels all over the world. There's levels in the jungle. There's levels in Mexico. There's levels within the United States. What people consider success in Compton is not the same as they consider success in Beverly Hills or Brentwood or Bel Air. It's perspective for the people in Compton and the people in Beverly Hills. But I'm not going to compare the success from somebody in Compton to the success of somebody in Beverly Hills. That's completely different. That's like billionaires. There's millionaires that commit suicide because they're down to their last million. They jump off a bridge because they got down, because they lost all their wealth and they only had $1 million left. Versus somebody else who's happy to have just $50,000. It depends on perspective too, Lee. So while you are saying, man, these people over the country who are in these third world countries are doing bad compared to us in America, doesn't necessarily mean they're doing bad in terms of what they see. And that's all I'm saying. So the law of attraction is universal. It works for everybody. It just depends on the perspective of the people that's actually utilizing
the perspective of that 8-month-old that starved. Right, yeah, just the 8-month-old should have. He didn't know what success was. Okay, whatever. I don't want to take up. I'm the ignorant one. All right, what does Trill have to say about it? All right,
what's your thoughts on this law of attraction, Trill?
I would compare it to like religion. It's a belief thing. You can't. I think that the word law should not be in it.
Facts.
It's something that you believe in. But in terms of like what it means, it's like, okay, if you're carrying yourself the right way, then good things tend to come. I take issue with that, especially speaking in relationships. When I was my most toxic was when I had the best options for women. Right? If we just gonna be honest. Let's just call a spade. Like, but when a lot of dudes, like, they'll try to go about it in a straight and narrow way. I want to be an upstanding man. I want to, one woman at a time. I want to just focus on, pleasing this one woman, and they'll get their heart shattered in a million pieces. But that same dude 2 years later say, man, forget all that, bro. I'm about to go out here, snipe everything moving, and then that's when he tends to find the love of his life. We're going to be honest, right? So, and at that moment, his mentality was extremely toxic. Wasn't positivity there. But that brought him the best women, that he's ever seen. So I think there's just so many ways to poke holes in that theory. I don't really believe in that I believe in finesse. I believe in manipulation. if we gonna be honest, just like we gave the whole gang member analogy. I grew up around a lot of gang members, a lot of drug dealers, And statistically, and according to that law of attraction, I was supposed to fall into that same line. I'm supposed to be on 69 in Beaumont, doing about 15 right now. If we're going to, compared to like what my lifestyle was and what my surroundings was at the time, but I didn't. I finessed the system. I manipulated the system. And as long as it's a way to finesse and manipulate, it shouldn't be called law. It should be, something that I can, hope for or wish. But as far as like something that's concrete, I don't, that just sends the wrong message, in my opinion. There's so many ways to poke holes in it.
Okay. Chicago Rella, the law of attraction. I know you've been listening to everything that's been going on. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have much more to add. I kind of spoke on it earlier. I know Lee came in.
Oh yeah, you did speak on that.
Yeah,
so,
I know Lee came in and blew the hole.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If the law of attraction is listen, just be positive and work hard, and you have a much better probability of success, I'm all for it.
Yeah, it's power positive thinking. That's why I look at it. And even in the most obscure situation, go to the village, right? Ask all the ladies, who's the guy? Who's the guy that y'all looking at there? He's got that positive vibe about him, right? And he's successful in that village.
No, he could absolutely. This is what Trill was saying. He could absolutely have a negative vibe.
That positive.
What are you talking about, David? Trill just said, no, that's not the truth.
No,
the women in the village could be looking at the gangster. Listen, the women in the village could be looking at the gangster. The women in the village could be looking at the killer. The women at the village could be looking at the drug dealer. That's not a positive vibe.
Well, he has that leadership vibe.
That's not what you said.
You get people.
Now you changed it. You changed it.
Listen,
David, you got to be careful with Lee.
He's an alpha.
Don't mind me. Don't mind me.
I'm
just messing with you.
To do bad things or to do good things. The fact that you can get people to follow you, that shows that you got some kind of positive thing that you can actually get up there and get people.
I'm just fucking with you, David.
Until you get murdered, until you become Alpo Martinez in New York.
Well,
it depends on how you look at the bad guy. It depends on how you look at the bad guy. Just because he got all the girls don't make him necessarily positive. If he got a bullet in his skull eventually at a young age. This depends on where I'm glad that Trill, even though Trill had the best options in women, he selected the best one when he married his wife. And he's not doing 15 years to life. Because he got away from the way that he was. He changed his mindset. Even though Trill is saying, I ain't not really rocking with the law of attraction. I think in fact, Trill probably did. And instead, he changed his mindset. Not something that he actually did, or maybe his mindset guided him to do the things that he needed to do to get his queen and get the hell away from them dudes that was guided that he was going down the wrong road with. But it just depends on how you look at it. You can be the bad boy with all the girls and have a bullet in your head while you're sitting in your truck at a red light. Depends on the perspective and where you're coming from and how you're looking at it.